Hi guys, Ninja Power here. Today I wanted to explain how to build a computer from scratch and how I did it 1.5 years ago. You might be wondering why you would want to. The main reason for building one is that it is much cheaper to build one rather than buying one from the store. The reason it would be cheaper is because you would be paying an additional fee to have it built. The only major drawback to building one would be that if you don't know what you're doing, it can be harmful because you will not have any customer support to help you if anything goes wrong in the installation process. The reason I personally built one was to learn how to do it since I enjoy using computers and originally wanted to be a computer scientist. I have always enjoyed putting things together even as a kid, so it was natural that I wanted to know how to build a computer. Furthermore, I began editing video around that time and needed a machine to suit my needs. Luckily and regrettably, my parents planned on having me get surgery that would remove all 4 of my wisdom teeth. I, at that point, had found an excuse to build one. So I pitched the idea to my parents, who were still hesitant at first, but over time they allowed me to build one as I explained more and more. The cool thing was that I paid for 1/3 of the computer. I knew I needed something to do to halt the pain for the most part while I recovered from surgery on July 1st, 2010. After slowly awakening from the sleep-inducing and mind-numbing medicine, I began having visions that my computer, or at least the parts, would come that day and I would be able to build it. Unfortunately, that wish did not come true. What did come true was the endless pain, which could only be drowned by more pain medicine and ice packs through the following couple weeks. I included a picture at the end of me with my ice packs, so just wait for that. Luckily, I ordered the parts a few days before my surgery on June 27th. That way, I would get the parts before the surgery so I could go back home and semi-consciously construct my greatest accomplishment. That never happened though. I got my surgery on the 1st of July and the parts arrived the next day. From the time I awoke, I eagerly anticipated the sight of the UPS truck that would come and deliver Thor. I texted my friend and he responded back, quote, "The longer you wait, the more excited you'll be when the parts finally arrive." End quote. The parts finally came around 1 or 2 p.m. that day. I was both relieved and eager to start building. I ordered the parts from newegg.com, a great place to look for computer parts online. The total cost was a whopping $2,500, but only $2,100 of them was for the computer. The other $300 was for a Logitech racing wheel. So that means that I paid about $800 for the computer. After the parts arrived on the 2nd, I began building the computer later that afternoon. Now, let me walk you through the actual building process. Basically, you put the internal components together and then hook up all the external things like the monitor, mouse and keyboard, and then begin the installation of the operating system. The internal components include the motherboard. The motherboard is what holds all the internal components like the graphics card, the CPU, and the RAM. I chose to install an Intel Core i7-920 CPU on the motherboard. The graphics card goes on the motherboard, but in my case, the graphics card was too big for the case that I was getting, so I had to upgrade the case. The RAM stands for Random Access Memory, and the processes that take too much of the CPU get dumped to the RAM to make the system run more smoothly. I also upgraded the RAM on my laptop from 4 gigs to 8 gigs to make it faster and run more smoothly. The internal components also include fans to cool the CPU, CD, DVD, a Blu-ray drive. I don't have a Blu-ray drive because I don't need one at this point. The hard drive, it's crucial because that's where both your data is stored, so like all your Word documents and whatnot, as well as where the operating system is stored. So it's crucial to have a hard drive if you want to make a computer. Also, you need a power supply unit because that is what that's what powers the computer. And you also need a mouse and keyboard to interact with the machine. After putting those components together, you need to undo the case and screw the completed motherboard with its components into the case. There are a few screws placed around the motherboard, so you just have to find them. Next, you plug everything in. There will be different pins for the different components on the motherboard, so it's crucial to read the manual to see where each of them goes. One example of the pins would be the front panel that houses the power button, so it's important that you put that one together, otherwise you won't be able to turn your machine on. And then when you do turn your computer on for the first time, you need to install the operating system. The operating system is what you use on a daily basis to interact with each and every computer. The way to install an operating system is to use the included CD of Windows 7. Every computer has a BIOS, which the motherboard uses to bring the software and the hardware together. When you boot up for the first time, there will be a key that you press to interact with the BIOS, which is usually F12, but it can vary from system to system. Press and hold that button during the first boot up process. It will then take you to a selection screen of where you want to have the operating system loaded from. Logically, you do not have an operating system, but you do have the Windows 7 installation CD, so you would use that. And that would be obviously in the CD drive. After installing the operating system on the hard drive, you restart and choose the internal hard drive for the boot up process, since that's where the operating system is installed. From then on, you can begin using Windows normally. At that point, you can begin to enjoy your newly built system. All of the above steps took me about half a day. My parents wanted me to take breaks, but I didn't listen because I was so excited about my new computer. I took a little break and then resumed the next day on the 3rd. I installed my favorite applications and began playing World of Warcraft, and that's when my true passion and true self began to show. It's amazing to me to think I did this while on painkillers after getting all of my wisdom teeth removed, and all by myself, don't you? Now, the only question that I really have for you is, or a trivia question, and that is, do you know which font I used for the titles? If you guessed Morpheus, you're correct. Morpheus is the font used in my favorite game, World of Warcraft. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation and learned something semi-useful. Don't forget to subscribe if you want more videos like these.